Hello and welcome back to the Player 3 podcast. This is episode 59. Things look a little bit different. Not as different as I wanted them to look because we wanted to get this all painted, but we had a snowstorm and then Diz got the bubonic plague and we were unable to approach it. But in the next few weeks, hopefully, we will get an opportunity to get down here and completely alter the set. So
all you have is that one tiny window. That paint's gonna mess us up. It's gonna be like that episode of Community where Chevy Chase thinks he's playing a piano, but he's not.
Fumes.
He's just slamming his hands into a box.
Oh yeah, well we'll have to open that door, then open that screen over there.
Why get rid of the fun?
Diz just smokes a whole lot of marijuana before showing up, and then just blames it on the paint fumes.
Like Diz, we're wearing masks.
Oh man, what's up, the British gamer? So let me explain a little bit of what happened in terms of the changes. We tweeted out something that kind of explained what was going on. But life has been a-changing for some folks on the podcast, and some changes needed to be made, and the changes you are seeing right here are the changes that were made. So Seth is no longer going to be doing the show with us, except maybe on some special occasions we can bring him on. Ben is now our community manager over there, running everything. If you could see his setup over here, it's pulling so much voltage right now.
When do we start the show Sleepy Time with Seth? When do we start that?
No, that would be awesome. Though.
Should be.
And 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is now our new time until daylight savings comes, and then it'll be 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So these are the changes that are made. We'll catch you up to speed on some of the changes that are being made to the structure of the show. It should look pretty similar. We'll let Ben sing the jingles over there for us since he's over there and he's all mic'd up.
Continue.
I thought it was over.
Larry thought we were out of the woods, and we are not. So
He now has even more time to make more jingles. He's going to get a DJ booth over there.
So for those of you that don't know, I am your host, Luke Croft, and alongside me, you know him from 3 Topic Thursday. This is Dizzy. That's already his nickname, Cooper.
Hello.
We had to cancel 3 Topic Thursday just because life got crazy for all of us, and so this is kind of a mashup. People miss 3 Topic Thursday. And now this show is going to have a little bit more of that structure, some more topical in the midst of the news. And then over here on my far left, always visually stunning, Larry Hunt. It's been a month. We're knocking the rust off. Zephyr says, boo, come back, Seth. We will get him on occasion. So, but he's just got a lot going on in life. So we are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday now at 1 o'clock Eastern time to talk about video games. Then we push this out on youtube.com/player3podcast and on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you've got a question for us midstream, drop it in the chat. If it's something that we're talking about at the time, we'll try to get to it then. If not, Ben's going to drop it in the notes, and we'll talk about it in the after party lounge after the show. You guys ready to get started?
Oh,
how much did you miss this? Did you miss this? Did you miss it, Larry?
I did miss it.
I did too. Did you miss it?
Well, I'm doing something completely different now.
This is totally different for you. So, all right, well, let's get this show started like we get every show started with the releases of the week.
Releases of the week, clap, clap.
At this point, it's almost spiritual because you can't see them. It's like a voice calling in the wilderness. Prepare ye the way of the Lord.
It's like some demonic entity waking you from your sleep and you can't escape it.
Yeah.
That was a different turn.
Yeah, that was pretty dark. So with the releases, one of the things that we're changing is we are only going to talk about the releases if there is a game that we are interested in coming out that week. Because you can go read the drop yourself, and Xbox doesn't release their digital storefront update until the day after we do the podcast, so it's all a little irrelevant at that point. So if there's a game we know that's coming out, we'll talk about it then, and then if not, we won't. And this week is an example of one of those weeks. It's slow. Next week, we got Firewatch, though, coming for PS4. I'm excited about that. So those are your releases of the week.
Releases of the week, clap, clap.
Ben has no idea what's going on. He's all over everything right now.
I know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, Gary's back.
Gary.
His
Larry's just loving this.
His illness is in remission. Oh, man.
Please kill me.
Don't kill him. Your headphones are so loud right now.
Look, if you keep that up, you're going to be deaf by the time you're 27.
Well, you guys talk so loud.
So it's
You
our
guys
fault.
talk so loud, I have to talk. You listen to it over top of you talking. So
True.
It's true.
All right. Well, let's move on to the news.
news with the podcast
Don't laugh
guys.
at it. You're only encouraging it.
What Larry doesn't understand is that we want to encourage it
I understand.
because he hates it so much. It's not necessarily that we like it. It's that we like what it does to Larry. Right?
Valid.
Sort of like why most people watched that movie that North Korea didn't want them to watch. What was it
Oh,
called?
the interview?
Yeah. No one really wanted to see the interview.
I didn't.
But then Kim Jong, is it ill at this point?
Un
said we can't. And we were like, well, this is America. We do what we want.
Did you watch the interview?
No.
It's actually just a giant allegory of the Lord of the Rings. What? Seriously. It's all about the Lord of the Rings.
Okay. All right. First item on the list. Bungie's president has stepped down, and the board of directors appoints a new CEO. This is over from Steven Strom at IGN. It says, Bungie studio president Harold Ryan has stepped down. I want to stop right there for a moment. Any of us heard of Harold Ryan? Have you heard that name?
No.
No, when I read that Forbes article, they were like, hey, he stepped down. Don't know who he is? Not a big deal. Nobody does, because they said that, you didn't hear much from him. He didn't do much
And when you
publicly.
Well, and when you think about games, like some of the more popular games, you think about names that go along with those games. And Destiny was never one of those games that you're like, man, I just really love this Harold Ryan. Not that he was the director, but like there's always a name associated with it, and especially a game with as much communication as is necessary as like Destiny. You would think that you'd know who these players are within it. But anyway, Deej is their community manager, though. I do know that. So that's a name, I guess. Bungie's board of directors announced longtime COO Pete Parsons will now take over as CEO. Parsons posted the following statement on Bungie's website, quote, I want to personally thank Harold for his friendship, passion, hard work, and dedication in helping make Bungie the great company it is today. As a team, we celebrated many victories and weathered many storms. To the players of Destiny, I want you to know that my number one priority and Bungie's is and always has been to deliver great games that we can all share together. I believe that Destiny is a one-of-a-kind experience. I also believe you have yet to see our studio's best work. My new role here at the studio will be entirely focused on fulfilling that promise, end quote. And then it goes on to say, earlier, Kotaku published a report claiming a planned but unannounced sequel to Destiny has been pushed back from its supposed September launch. So all of this kind of context, we all have me and Larry especially have some really strong opinions about Destiny. You being a video game fan can't really avoid Destiny because it's just there. So you read this story. What were your thoughts when you heard that their president had stepped down?
The initial who, and then Destiny definitely failed on a lot of promises. They said things that didn't follow through, and most recently, the whole this is going to be a world that's growing and expanding for the next 10 years. Do you remember that? If year 2 Destiny is the definition of growing and expanding, then it's not very exciting. So, in my opinion, putting a new captain at the front of this ship can't do anything but help.
My favorite part about Parsons' quote is when he says, you have yet to see the best from Bungie. And it's like, because you cut it out of the game.
But that's kind of what they say that every time. Like, the best is yet to come. We're just getting started.
Well, and a company with as much momentum, creativity, and talent as Bungie has, that should always be the case. Like, we shouldn't need to be reminded that we should be shown that this is improving over time. And Destiny did. Like, I want to give Destiny its credit that the game became a better game as time went on. But the number one responsibility for people that are leading these companies is to communicate the vision of the product. And like you said, it was supposed to be a 10-year thing. And there's people that play Destiny now. Ben, you're a Destiny player. You have no idea what's coming, do you?
I haven't played Destiny for several months.
But
wow.
Well, and
there's nothing new to do.
Yeah,
really.
Ben's a guy that's always been passionate about it, and every Destiny player is like, we don't know what's coming. We've got our weapons, we've done our raids, we've done basically everything that we can do up to this point, and there's no future. And it seems like there's no future because the focus started to shift to this sequel to the game, and it ultimately got pushed back.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have never played Destiny. So all I could really work off of is just kind of the direction that they're taking now. I mentioned that article about where they kind of questioned who this original guy was, but something that they really made apparent was that Pete Parsons was someone that you saw in public about Destiny. It's someone you saw in videos, that he was very active with the Destiny community, and was very vocal about it. And all I can say is that I hope him becoming the captain of this ship, with his passion, with his knowledge of wanting the best to come. I just hope that he can fix these lingering issues that players have been having with Bungie. It's kind of weird, though. I feel like there's been a lot of leadership changes lately. I don't know if it was just me, but getting the new Nintendo guy, Kojima stepping down, now this happening. There's just seems a lot of changes in leadership, and I'm hoping that it just gets better from here on out.
Yeah, there's definitely a kind of changing tide in gaming as a whole. I mean, I was part of a discussion on Facebook. They were talking about Mighty Number 9, that Keiji Inafune game, the maker of Mega Man, the spiritual successor kind of thing to it. And that got delayed for the third time. And they were in this thread, they were talking about mismanagement. And Uncharted 4, the last Uncharted game that's coming out in April, has been delayed now for a third time.
Third time?
Yeah, and they've talked about well, you guys want to talk about Mighty Number 9 being mismanaged, but you never talk about Uncharted being mismanaged. And it's well, it is. Because every time these things are delayed, Uncharted 4 went through a huge re-scripting. They lost their lead writer, had to bring in the guys who did The Last of Us, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley.
It's not a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing at all. But the problem is when you have this turnover, it's mismanagement. And there's really only two options that I think this move from Bungie could be. It could either be number one, and again, I've closed the article. I already lost the guy's name, but the old CEO falling on his own sword, saying, "Well, someone's got to go because this ship is a little, this train's a little off the rails, and we don't know where we're going." Or it could be him looking at the direction they're going, signing up for a 10-year project of this base game and building on it, and saying, "Wait, we're going to make this thing like a biannual rotation," and saying, "I don't want to be a part of that." There's no option that's good within the reasons for this happening. It could ultimately end up being good for Destiny in the long term, but here in the short term, it makes you wonder, man, we don't know what's coming content-wise for these players who've given 2 years and over $100 at this point to this project, almost $150 to it, to stay actively engaged, and that's not counting microtransactions. But in the short term, it makes you wonder, man, is there anything left out of this game?
That's the thing. I can't think of a game that I have stuck with for 2 years. You guys have stuck with this for a good amount of time. When you think of this 10-year idea as players, is that even does it even make sense? Can you see yourself doing the same stuff, playing Destiny for another 8-9 years? Can you see that?
If it stayed fresh and had its hooks in me, but it's not. And I don't know how you would make a game do that for that long.
Yeah, not with the base world that they created. And the story may have gotten better, but it never got good, I don't think, with the expansions.
No.
And I think in order to Halo is successful. Well, number one, it's fun, but it's also successful because people are super into that lore and that world. And there's books that are written about it. There's TV series. There's movies. There's all this other stuff that surrounds it because in the beginning they took the care to create a universe that people cared about. And Destiny didn't do that. Destiny did it, but they didn't deliver it in the right way. I got to get on my phone and read Grimoire cards. It's been a mismanaged project from the start, and it's weird because it was mismanaged, but it was also successful. And I don't think we can conflate those two ideas. Just because something ultimately ended up being successful doesn't mean that it wasn't mismanaged. Mm-hmm. And it could have been way more successful if it would have been the thing that was originally told to us in the beginning, because it turned so many people off in the first month that maybe would have stuck to those expansions in the future. So Basque VDM wants Ben to yell the word peanut butter to scare us. So just be on the lookout in case this happens.
Are we supposed to really act it out? like really
this,
feel
have a
it.
heart attack.
Like I fall out of my chair and junk. Because I go real hard.
Baskin's really he's really into this too. I don't understand why he's so. He's
I love
asked
peanut
several
butter.
times. Peanut butter's cool, I guess.
I like peanut butter.
It's good.
You offered it earlier?
You said it's delicious and nutritious.
Now I'm trying to think of like what game I've spent more than 2 years playing. I guess just Skyrim. But like 10 years, that's huge.
I think that's a good question though. Like with as big a strides as games make in terms of mechanics and in graphics and all those things, is it really realistic to think that, and with as good as they've become at marketing these console games, like we have events all the time where there's new stuff getting shown off, is it a realistic thing to think you can release a game and then just build on it in 10 years?
I mean, when you look at something like WoW, which although they weren't a straight up RPG, MMORPG, like they were trying to have that kind of element to it. I think that's maybe kind of the sort of thing they had in mind.
Well, and I think they got in their own way by trying to distance themselves from that language too, of like, this isn't what this game is. And so then it's hard to implement those kinds of mechanics in it to make it to where it will last that long. Yeah. I don't see it being a possible thing where it's like, man, because 10 years is going to be a console life cycle too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so I don't think it's necessarily realistic.
I just think that this new shift in leadership is positive. That's to sum up my position on this topic. I think it's going to be positive.
Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
Samesies.
All right, next item on the list here. This is a story over at IGN written by Mitch Dyer. Shout out to Podcast Unlocked and Overclocked. That's a PC podcast he hosts. All right. It says, the title, E3 2016 EA Play, the public Electronic Arts E3 event announced. The article reads, Electronic Arts has announced EA Play, a live event in Los Angeles and London the week of E3. Against years of tradition, Electronic Arts will not have a traditional booth at E3, instead allowing fans to play upcoming games at the limited free event from June 12th to the 14th. EA Chief Marketing Officer Chris Bruzzo told IGN that EA's annual press conference will happen on Sunday, June 12th, will be, quote, similar to last year's press conference in that it's very much about the games. It's also going to include competition, special guest appearances, musical performances, and other cool stuff that makes it an event like that weird zombie that walked out in the middle, end quote. That last part is not a part of the quote. Did you guys watch EA's press conference last year when the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare character walked out? The zombie, and he danced on the stage. And
oh my gosh! Just out of nowhere.
Cringeworthy. I mean, it was a part of the show. Like he didn't.
Oh, okay.
He didn't
just a random
he didn't
person.
rush the stage. They were like, "Now we got something exciting for you," and they brought him out, and everyone was like, "All the
Garden Warfare
all the
was
cameras
terrible.
stopped flashing."
Now they cut the feed.
Surprisingly, that game was very successful.
But it was so different. It was not in a good way either. Anyways,
but people are excited about the second one. They just had their beta. But anyway, let's see if I don't think there's any real other useful information. So essentially, what's happening is EA is hosting an event in the building right next to where E3 happened.
I didn't catch that detail.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to have their press conference on Sunday rather than their traditional Monday afternoon, and they're opening this thing up to the public. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start with you, Diz, because you brought in something that I think is going to be something that we'll all jump off from.
I did.
That article, I disagree with it. So
okay. Gotcha. When I first heard this, the same time as E3, I initially thought that this was a power play. Like, this is a power move. But I think what I initially missed when I first read it was the word free. Now, when you think about it, if you look at a lot of the numbers of the past E3s, it's really not fan friendly. There's a lot of exclusivity a part of it with the press, and then there's a lot of financial strains because you have to pay a ton of money, wait in a lot of lines just to get in. It's with these problems, it's a very corporate event still, and so whereas I first thought that Play was this power move of like, oh, we're too big for this, let's do our own thing, I had to think that this is open to anybody, even though it's limited, it's open to the fans, it's open to the people who love these games. And whereas E3 is kind of hindering them with money, this exclusivity, they're giving this means of just come, have a good time, play our games, enjoy this music. And where it went from negative, I see it more a little valiant. Because we're in the internet age, and fan voices are becoming a lot stronger than these press, this corporate press voice. And I think that this is a very smart move for them. They're going to get a lot of people on board just loving that they're caring about them and not the big companies that are coming in and grading them and stuff like that. So I think it's a good move. That's what I think.
I think EA has constantly fought this uphill battle with public perception, being voted constantly in the top 3 of worst companies in America, alongside like Comcast and Bank of America. It's companies that it's funny, like how seriously we take this sometimes, and how that perception, like we think of EA, this maker of video games, introducer of microtransactions, like business practices that sometimes we do frown on, but viewing them alongside actual corruption and stuff like that. And so I get kind of the sense of we're looking out for our fans in creating this. But is it really a move that looks out for fans when you do this alongside of another large press event, to where you're not equipping the people who are capable and have the outlets to shed light on your games, and making this very difficult when, like, there's no press passes that are going to be given at this thing. You're not going to be able to show a press pass and get to the front of the line to be able to cover everything. So you're not getting people that you trust voice on. Yeah, you're getting voices on it, but you're getting voices of people that you don't know. And so is it good for the people that can make it out to LA to go to this event? Yes. But is it ultimately good for those of us on the other side of the country that won't get to see EA's games and hear people whose voices we trust talk about those games? Because in the time it would take you to maybe cover 4 games, you'll be standing in the line to play 1. And I think that makes it difficult from like a press perspective, and a perspective of getting familiar with what EA has to offer, which is going to be great this year. Like, obviously you're going to have all their sports titles, but you're going to see like Titanfall 2, you're going to see Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, we're probably going to see something out of the Amy Hennig Star Wars game that Visceral's making, like all of these different things. But you're doing it at a time where the mind share is already given over to E3, and you already had a rhythm of how you were going to do it to begin with. And ultimately, this can either be abysmal for EA or ultimately the destruction of E3 altogether. Because what I can compare this to is the PlayStation experience, where Sony hosts an event for their platform and says, come on out, all PS3, PS4, Vita fans, PSVR fans, and just come celebrate with us. But it's not trying to encroach on something else that people are trying to listen to. Whereas, like I tune in Monday afternoon, and there's EA's press conference during E3, and we're not going to get that this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it would be. I was thinking of the PlayStation experience as well. It would be one thing for them to have another separate event like that, but it's another to go that head-to-head with E3, I think. It feels to me like Donald Trump doing his own debate. Yeah. And I see this at the very least not helping EA, and at worst doing some damage more than anything, because like you said, it's going to split people's attention, and I think most people are going to stick with what they're familiar with. And E3 is going to cover more games and from everybody, not just one company. And like that's where my focus is going to be, and then I'll see what I can find out about EA later on.
Yeah, you'll almost be playing catch up with the EA stuff.
Yeah,
in a year, like I said, where they've got so much to show, and fans have been, last year they let a limited number of fans come onto the show floor at E3. And I was listening to Podcast Unlocked, and they were talking about different ways that they could approach this to kind of come to a middle ground that keeps E3 and allows this kind of big press event for everybody to be involved in. And I like their idea of like, hey, the first 2 days are closed days to media. They get to go on the show floor, make this thing a week-long event rather than Monday through Wednesday. Make it Monday through Friday, and on Thursday and Friday the public can come and they can play it, but the media's gotten their opportunity to go make their previews, make their trusted voices heard about these games, and then let the public come in and play. And I think that's a great idea. And to make it a free event like that, to where, hey, if you can get out to LA, come on and join us for Thursday, Friday, because it's a huge complex anyway that this thing takes place in. And it's just a little unfortunate that some of the biggest games that are going to be coming out in 2016 and 2017 aren't going to be under that E3 roof. All right, next item on the list. Hold on, let me bring it up there, Ben. EA, speaking of which, they accidentally revealed Xbox One sales numbers. So for those that are unfamiliar, Xbox One has kind of shifted from talking about units sold to giving these kind of like arbitrary engagement numbers that don't really mean anything. Like, hey, we had X amount of concurrent Xbox Live users, or we had so many people log on to Xbox Live this month, and like just really kind of weird things. And they haven't been given sales numbers, mostly because, well, let me read the article and then I'll explain why I think it's a good idea that EA hasn't been revealing this. This is from gadgets.ndtv.com. I've never heard of this site, but this has been corroborated elsewhere. This is just the first place I saw it. Shout out to Rishi Alwani for writing this. It says, it's been known for some time that Microsoft has decided not to issue reports on the number of Xbox One consoles sold. Rather, it has decided to divulge the number of active accounts on Windows 10 or Xbox Live. What this means is you can never really know how many Xbox Ones have been sold the world over. EA CFO Blake Jorgensen might just have changed that. According to Game Industry, during an earnings call, Jorgensen stated that the combined figure of current generation consoles sold is at 55 million units. Given that EA doesn't consider the PS Vita or Wii U as platforms worth supporting, and that Sony has openly said it sold around 36 million PS4s, that puts the Xbox One install base at almost 19 million. It corroborates with longtime reporter on all things Microsoft, Mary Jo Foley's earlier statement of 18 million Xbox One sold on the Windows Weekly podcast. So, 19 million units sold compared to the 36 million units sold. Here's why this makes sense, I think. And here's why I think Microsoft has chosen not to do it, not to reveal their numbers. They are outselling the Xbox 360 at this time. 2 years into the life cycle, they are selling more than Xbox 360. So this is a successful thing that they're doing. However, you're not comparing 360 sales to Xbox One sales. You're comparing PS4 sales to Xbox One sales. So you see a 17 million unit gap there, and you think, man, Xbox One is tanking, and people will get scared away by those numbers, when in actuality the Xbox One has been kind of successful. So that being said, 19 million units sold, it doesn't really tell us anything we didn't already know. But what were your thoughts on this?
I get what you're saying. Like, it's kind of like if you compared the number of BMWs sold to the number of Chevys sold, and be like, man, BMW's doing awful. Mm-hmm. It's not a straight comparison because those cars are bringing more money per car, but yeah, just because PS is doing so much better in sales doesn't mean Xbox is doing awful. I hadn't thought about it like that. You've given me hope.
I am a hope bringer naturally at heart.
That's the biggest lie ever told on this show.
People sometimes call me Mr. Optimistic. And they often call me when they just need their day brightened a little.
Yes.
Just a smidgen.
Yes.
So, your thoughts?
Well, Mr. Optimistic, are they embarrassed by this number?
I don't think they're embarrassed by the number per se, but I just don't think it's helpful.
They can't control the perception that's coming from the number. Like, even though they're not doing bad, the perception is, oh man, you're not doing as good as PlayStation. You must be doing bad.
But 19 million, that's good.
Yes.
It's good numbers.
And you've spoken about how PlayStation has that home field advantage in Japan, how it's just like they have a lot more games for the PlayStation, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Xbox sold, I think the story a couple weeks ago was they sold like 75 the first week of the year. They sold 75 Xboxes in Japan the first week of the year. And, I mean, there's just these markets that they don't break into because they don't have games that really appeal to those markets. Now, that may change in the future, especially when we get games like Scalebound coming out, or when Recore comes out, made by developers that are known worldwide, not just people that are known around here. That may change. But for the time being, the numbers not very helpful. And they give a lot of those numbers, like the Xbox One has sold more year over year in the month of June this year. Like, okay, so you sold more this June than you did last June. That you should. Like that's how business is supposed to work. Empty Vial says, so what you guys are saying is that Larry needs to buy a PS4 to get on our level. I think he has to pee. Or he's leaving for good. Don't walk upstairs. That's a terrible decision.
Yes. I just
You wanted to make a point. Your point has been made.
But have you ever made the point so hard that you got in your car and drove away?
No, but Luke has.
It's all about taking the joke, not just further than people would think, but 10 times further than what people would think you would. Go ahead, Ben. You have a question for us?
No.
Oh.
I messed the stream up to make the joke even better.
He put it on the podcast screen. See, what we need to do, and what we need to do next is bring the table in and have the TV monitor set up to know what Ben's doing over there. Yeah. So, all right, next item on the list.
All right.
Every now and then we like to tackle some topics that are a little more on the serious end of it. And now with Ben sitting over there, any overt racism is...
He still has a mic, though.
Oh, God.
I do still have a mic.
Okay. This isn't necessarily a news story, but it's about Street Fighter V. So a little background on this. There was a trailer that was released that showed one of the Mika. I'm sorry. I'm not a big Street Fighter fan, so this is all kind of foreign to me.
I've played about 0 minutes of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So, but there was a cutscene where it focuses in on her butt, and she slaps her butt before she does this move. And the move is with another character, and they smash the head between their butts.
Okay.
That part was not edited out, but the butt slap was, because another trailer came out that was edited, and people picked up on the little nuances. One was the Japanese trailer, one was the Western trailer. The Western trailer being the censored one. So in this interview with GameSpot, with Yoshinori Ono, the creator of Street Fighter, they bring this up and they ask a question, and I just lost the question. Okay. He asked, one of the criticisms has been that some characters are unnecessarily sexualized, and I'm wondering what your stance is regarding such feedback. And Ono said, you may have seen some time ago for R. Mika's critical art cutscene, the camera angle was changed a bit. And we made some other changes with how the camera angles worked with the characters, and that was one of our answers to some of this feedback. On the flip side, the hardcore fans attacked my Twitter account with lots of F-bombs. We want everyone to be able to enjoy playing this game. We don't want anything offensive in there. We want everyone to be able to enjoy the game as much as possible. So we're working to be able to provide a friendly environment for everyone. The message we want to provide for our hardcore fans is that we are cognizant of the series identity, and we are going to make sure that the Street Fighter identity is in place. We may be making more adjustments moving forward, but the fighting experience, the battle, is the same.
Street Fighter identity.
That
confused me.
Go ahead.
Because he's talking about changing a camera angle to be less sexual, and he's like, we want to stay true to the Street Fighter identity, though. Was he saying the Street Fighter identity is sexual? Is that what he's saying?
It's over the top.
I think it is. Like, first off, I think anyone who's offended by the sexuality in Street Fighter wasn't going to buy the game anyway. Mm-hmm. Just buy any Japanese fighting game. That's what you're going to get. I'm not saying that it's right. It's what it is. And their culture, I don't think they're as offended by that as we are right now. We're kind of offended by everything right now. It is what it is. And just... he kind of dances around it, because the fact of the matter is, if they go in and they change it all, they're going to tick off the people who are actually going to buy the game.
Yeah. Well, and the problem, I'm very much against censorship, unless it's just something blatantly calling for something illegal.
Like that creepy game where you just shoot, do a mass shooting. You remember that?
Where you play a sociopath and kill people. Yeah, that maybe. And even then, it's like if there's a market for these things, and whatever, let the market decide. And so
it's a very libertarian of you. I like it.
Yeah, well, and from that being said, if the censorship was required to maximize your revenue on this game, that's their prerogative. Like that's Street Fighter V's prerogative. But the fact that we feel like two things. Number one, the Western culture is an overly sexualized thing anyway. You and I were talking about this a couple days ago, where it's hard to be compassionate and empathetic and show any kind of affection towards anyone without them thinking you're making some sort of sexual advance on them. It's why we have the side hug. Like, because apparently full frontal hugging is one step away from us taking all of our clothes off and doing nefarious things. We live in an overly sexualized culture anyway, and like you said, we love getting offended and we love raising Cain about anything and making people change course. And this is nothing new in Street Fighter. Who was it? Epidemic HD, I think. No, Empty Vial said Armika is all about fighting with her butt. So you move the camera up a couple feet to take the butt slap out, but then she continues to smash her opponent's face in between two butts. And all of a sudden we're like, I'm all right with this.
I'm okay with this.
This is fine, guys.
And this is where I'm going to draw ire from some people possibly. But once again, here we have this double standard of we're ticked that the sexuality of this video game character is like we're sexualizing this video game character. But if you criticize any of the young pop female stars today for their outfits, you are also a bad person.
Yeah, you're slut shaming.
Like,
I'll say it.
Which one is wrong?
Yeah, it's the world of double standards, and it's the class. I don't even remember what it was we were talking about, and we were like, and I was like, Larry, what we have to remember is that the internet is not one person.
I don't want to bring up what it was. I remember. I'll tell you later.
Okay, yeah, but and I think sometimes we get pigeonholed into this idea that the loudest voice is the only voice, and it isn't. And oftentimes the loudest voice isn't even the biggest voice. This is probably that loud minority of people calling out for this and making a game that has been Empty Vial said, well, the other thing to keep in mind is that the Street Fighter franchise isn't a brand new game. They're continuing a game and redoing it over and over from 1987 when it was a male-dominated work industry and games were made for guys. And the game is going to continue to be made for guys. It's the market that they've built. It's the place they've pigeonholed themselves into, and it's the market they're going to find success. You know what they didn't do? Put a parka on her. Like she's still dressed very suggestively. Like, and so I don't understand how this one minor change changes what has kind of been honestly one of the selling points of Street Fighter from its outset, and the fact that it's just a solid fighting game.
Yeah. And for the record, I'm not into that stuff, and I'm kind of weirded out by a lot of it. But
Yeah.
but at the same token, I'm not under any illusions that I'm going to yell loud enough to make them be like, oh, yeah, we've been wrong for 30 years. We'll fix it now.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Dizzy?
Slade.
Slary.
My wife and I, we watched the show called Project Runway. And there was an episode where there was these three girls, these three guys competing against each other. And the guys were using this material, like a silk chiffon, so it's kind of see-through, kind of sexy. And the women got really upset about this. And they said, well, I'm ad-libbing this, they said, we hate male designers because women designers design clothes that women want to wear. Men design women's clothing the way they want women to dress. And that's kind of what I have seen here. You know, like Empty Vial said, video games have been a very male-dominated place, and we know sex sells, and we know we got to sell it if we're trying to meet that 16 to 35-year-old male range. So I'm kind of embarrassed by it, just the whole overly sexualizing these women, not because of the implications it has on kids or the implication it has just on what men think of women. I'm embarrassed because my wife is incredibly good at fighting games. I rarely can beat her. And I'm kind of sad that when we have to play these fighting games that she has to pick these characters and there's this water balloon jiggle physics. That embarrasses me because I don't want her to think that this culture that I'm ingrained in, these video games that I love, is just this horrible sex-ridden place, like, a back alley corner kind of place, and that embarrasses me.
Yeah, well, and that fighting game corner, being as niche a corner as it oftentimes is probably going to be the last to be affected by this sweeping change in the games industry of making realistic female characters. We're seeing that in adventure games. We're seeing it in shooters. You're seeing it everywhere else.
Yep.
But these fighting games are dominated by your niche franchises, your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombats, those sorts of things, and those cultures don't change overnight. And so it's going to honestly probably be one of the last ones affected.
The water balloon physics is hands down the creepiest thing.
Yes. It's like...
I'm going to scoot this back. You're getting a little mic pop from Empty Vials over here.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We got that old thought process that, in RPG games, the more scantily clad the female character is, the stronger the armor is. And that's kind of just what it's become. And I don't want to see this classic, genre-defining game of Street Fighter become Dead or Alive beach volleyball.
Right.
I don't want to see it go that way.
Yeah. And me personally, I would like to see this improve and women not portrayed that way. I'm just saying that I guess I just get frustrated by the double standards within our culture. Mm-hmm. And, those of you listening or watching that don't know, like, I'm a youth minister, and so I kind of rail against the over-sexualization of our culture all the time. And I just, as you were talking, like, man, I sound like I've made a case for why this game is good to go. And that's not what I meant to do. I just meant to say, like...
It's not good to go from a standpoint of you wouldn't buy it. Yeah. But it's good to go in the sense of, like, if someone's going to buy it, like, whatever. Like, yeah. That's people's prerogative.
I don't think we change anything culture-wise by forcing people to do stuff.
Right. It's not going to end the over-sexualization.
No.
But
especially when we celebrate it in other arenas.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next item on the list. Xbox Live Games with Gold have been announced, and PlayStation 4 Instant Collection have been announced. The Xbox game should be available today. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation game should be available tomorrow. So this is over on the site I work for, twinfinite.net. I did not write this article.
Who wrote this article?
I'll tell you in a second.
Give your coworker credit.
I'm going to tell you in a second. It's just not loading for some reason.
Don't be a glory hound. Don't you trump this up.
Okay. Xbox Live Games with Gold. This is from Hayes Matson over at Twinfinite. It says, if you have had an Xbox One, you get a host of free games to play every month, and there's definitely some good ones. Coming in February, Major Nelson announced the 4 games coming to the service next month on his website this morning. Xbox One is getting Hand of Fate and Styx, Master of Shadows.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
I actually looked into either of those games.
And then Hayes Matson also wrote the PlayStation 4 games with Instant Collection lineup. PlayStation 4 is getting Helldivers Democracy Strikes Back. Great game. I'm not even going to try to pretend like that game's not awesome. That is a great game. That's also crossplay on the Vita. And then Nom Nom Galaxy, which I've heard is not a terrible game, but I have yet to play that. So, I think our reactions to this list we're kind of unmoved, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this, it's kind of become our reactions to these lists in general.
Just here it is, in case you're interested. Every now and then one really catches my interest.
Let's see. September, we got Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Or October.
Oh, yeah, it's around that time. I don't know. With Games with Gold, I just feel like it's a last effort, before the death rattle of this game. Because even when you download it, it's not all. Like, recently they did the Killer Instinct. So I'm like, hey, fighting game. My wife and I will play this. So we download it, but you still have to buy like the majority of the characters.
Yeah, I was so pumped. I was like, "Cool, free fighting game!"
Yeah,
oh.
You get like
and immediately
5
uninstalled
players,
it.
and then you have to buy 8.
Yeah. My question to you guys is this: to what extent do you think, we pay for our online service, and I don't mind paying that fee. Like, you get a pretty stable experience for the most part. And these games that we get for free with these programs is kind of just an added bonus. So we're going to call these free games. And you can do whatever, send us whatever emails you want. They're not free because you pay for the subscription. You're paying for something and you're getting something on top of what you're initially paying for. You're not paying for these games. So that in mind, with this being kind of just a bonus, to what extent do you think game companies, Microsoft and Sony, to what extent do you think they have the responsibility to offer good titles within these programs?
But I have a question first. I need to understand this. Does Microsoft like pay these companies to give it out for free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They get some sort of benefit from it.
I don't think they have any responsibility to offer these games up at all. But if they're going to do it, they have a responsibility to do it well, or
not give us pool.
Yeah, for 3 months, 4 months, however long it was. I used to wait tables at Cracker Barrel and
Caucasian Barrel.
Now I thought with Mignon we were supposed to not have any overt racism.
It's the spot. Is that what it was, Ben? Did it just kind of flow through you from the floor?
I had something else I wanted to say, but I feel like it's drastically more racist than
All right,
that. So
we're going to move on from that.
Say it.
But one of my managers at one point was talking about how Cracker Barrel never had any kind of great deals and things getting cheap or anything like that, and they talked about how you had McDonald's start offering the dollar menu and other places offering like these really good deals, and they referred to it as devaluing your menu, because once you start those cheap things, there's it can't be a temporary thing. You gain customers from it, and then if you stop doing it, you lose customers from it. So once you start offering that free stuff, that's it, you're doing it, you're locked in. So now you got a responsibility to do it well.
And I can think of a lot of times where I've seen a game that I'm interested in and I'm like, oh, I'll wait. That'll probably be free in a few months. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Like you start to devalue the products that are in it. We've seen some cases where that's not the case. Like Rocket League for PlayStation 4 made money hand over fist, even being free for the month that it was. I'm trying to think. IDARB was another one that was really good.
Think about how PlayStation did that, though. Like, they released Rocket League pretty early on for free to build the base and then made it cost money again. So when your friends are talking about it, now you got to buy it to jump in. Whereas Xbox, like Diz said, oh, crap, this one didn't do very well. Let's throw it in the free games bin. Kind of.
That's what it feels like.
It's like a bargain barrel. Or it's a hey, let's prepare you for this game, like Tomb Raider was. Like we got Rise of the Tomb Raider coming, so take Tomb Raider Definitive Edition so that you'll be ready for it. I'm kind of with you. If they're gonna do it well. Like, don't kind of string us along. I get excited. I get excited every month for what's going to be out, even though I rarely download and play those games and have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. I've had fun with everyone that I've actually tried. Just not enough fun to stop playing Halo.
Oh, you played Van Helsing, didn't you?
I downloaded it, never got to it actually. I was excited for it.
What you thought about it?
I'm going to try it, but even dear God, that game was kind of dumb in a lot of ways, but I had a lot of fun playing it when I played it. I still don't know the point of it or what I was trying to do, but I had fun running around being a deer, headbutting hunters to death.
I love the idea of these indie games coming and launching into these programs. I'm not big on these indie games saying, well, we're gonna cost money for a few months and then we'll go into the program. I just don't think that's good business either, because then you are conditioning people to say okay, well, I would pay money for that, but it's free to wait. You can just wait. Did you give your thoughts?
I'm struggling with it, man. I understand. You got me rethinking this EA Play thing, and this is around the same line. It's is it a cool, valiant effort, or is it just them saying, "Hey, we're giving you something, love us for it"? I'm very torn about it.
It's definitely an attempt to earn love on the part of the customer. I think that's especially clear on the part of PlayStation. Xbox started doing this, people loved it, and crap, they got a leg up on us, we better start doing it too. Mm-hmm. And then they did it 10 times better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember, no company does anything out of goodwill. I mean, even if it's done out of goodwill, the goodwill is to create, loyalty for your product. It's all ultimately the bottom dollar.
I wouldn't say none of it, but most of it. There are people within companies that they're doing it for the love of what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
And now our listeners don't know if I actually mean that or if I'm just saying it so they feel like we care about them on this podcast.
We love our listeners. Leave us a tip.
Exactly.
Drop the tip jar. Link in the chat. There, man.
I don't even know where that's at.
It's on there.
It's on there. As Dizzy says it's on there. It's on there.
Ask Gary to help you.
Gary don't know nothing.
Where's the tip jar at, Gary? It's back in the back of the links.
Back in the back of the links.
Gary doesn't own a computer.
Or speak English. All right. Next item on the list. Homefront the Revolution. Woo! I know you're excited about this, Larry. I didn't play the first one, so I don't know how I feel about it. But there's a new co-op mode that was just revealed and a beta that was announced. This is from Seth G. Macy. Not totally different from Seth B. Macy over there on the IGNs. You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I was just looking at the camera weird for fun. I do that sometimes, but where you were sitting before, you couldn't really notice.
He usually does the eyebrows.
It's for fun.
Yeah.
All right. He writes new details about the Homefront Revolution beta. It's Homefront the Revolution, not the Homefront Revolution.
Right.
Beta, as well as an online co-op mode and pre-order bonuses, have been revealed. The beta, which will only be on Xbox One, will run from February 11th through February 14th, with additional stress tests being run on January 29th and February 5th, again on Xbox One. Very odd.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd. You're releasing this on multiple platforms. We should at least get a stress test on all of the platforms.
Yeah.
Gamers who pre-order on any platform will receive the Revolutionary Spirit, which gives, quote, unique skins and instant unlocks of select weapons for the campaign, end quote. The pack includes a Red Skull motorbike and golden pistol skin, as well as instantly unlocks the marksman rifle, sniper scope, and remote explosive for players in game. Characters Homefront the Revolution's co-op mode is called Resistance Mode, a brand new 4-player cooperative online experience. In it, players from a resistance cell online and form a resistance cell online and wage battle in KPA occupied Philadelphia. Freedom fighters can be customized as teams, quote, go from rookie civilians to battle-hardened soldiers, end quote, progressing through battle unlocks new skills, weapons, blueprints, rare equipment, and combat gear. All right, a lot to chew on here. We've got betas, we've got stress tests, we've got pre-order bonuses, we've got this co-op mode. I'm going to start with you, Larry, because I know you're excited about this game.
First, is there... we all know what the American dream is, but can we just confess that the American daydream is fighting commies in the street of America to pry your country back from their cold, dead hands?
Amen.
The American daydream is me locking myself in a self-sustaining bunker while you guys duke it out, and I just wait for this to all blow over.
Wolverines.
Wolverines.
Yeah, man, Red Dawn.
This game is actually, like, I don't know about this one, but the first Homefront was written by the guy who wrote the original Red Dawn movie.
Beautiful.
And they predicted the death of Kim Jong-il within a week. It's creepy. Like,
it's not really
Wait,
creepy.
Homefront did?
It's not really creepy when you've got your finger on the trigger. It all makes perfect sense.
Anyway, none of this has to do with anything we're talking about. So I am pumped for this game. The first game, I would encourage you to find. I bet you can find it cheap and just play the campaign. Don't bother with the multiplayer in the first game. You'll get frustrated if you buy it pre-owned because you'll have to get a code and it's stupid. But the campaign was great. It was a good story. It was a lot of fun. A little cliche in a lot of ways, but when you're doing 80s action stuff, you know, that's what you're looking for. I had a blast with that game. I loved that campaign. And so I'm real pumped for this campaign. I'm hoping... I have a lot of high hopes for the multiplayer. This resistance thing sounds like a whole lot of fun, like getting your group together and fighting together. Like, I want more details on that because I'm afraid I'm getting an image in my head that's not accurate to what it is. Yeah. Like, it sounds like building up a base together and, like, taking back sections of an online city that always exists. That's probably not what it is. But I want to know what it is. It would be. So, yeah, that's how I feel about the game. I'm excited. But tying things to pre-orders. The beta, is it tied to the pre-order?
It didn't say that.
Okay.
So I think it's just that it's on Xbox One.
Okay. The stuff you get for the pre-order, though, that it specified, I'm like, whatever.
It's It's all stuff that won't matter once you get into the game, probably like every other weapon and skin and explosive that you get.
Yeah.
Like
Thanks, Borderlands.
in Destiny. I remember getting my weapons for Destiny that night and being like, I'm literally 2 hours into the game and these are obsolete.
They lasted you 2 whole hours? I don't believe that.
I don't know how I feel about this game. And like I said, I didn't play the first one, but it looks somewhat generic in terms of, like, it could be really any other shooter.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to have a very compelling and cohesive narrative in an open world, and it's even harder, I think, for a first-person military shooter to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be interesting to see, because this is not a game I'm necessarily going to play for its online components or its co-op components, because the co-op doesn't sound all that great to me. But I really have enjoyed the open world games I've been playing in the last little bit. You know, Fallout 4 and Assassin's Creed. I've enjoyed those. So I want a story that grips me, but it's just it doesn't seem very unique, except just in the fact of the concept it's trying to implement. But the story's not incredibly unique. The setting isn't incredibly unique. But we'll see. It may be awesome. I'm going to try the beta out.
Your concern is the concern that I have for the multiplayer component of the first one. It was like there was nothing that really distinguished that online play. But like I said, I loved the story, and even though it's open world, it's going to be a little different. I do maintain that high hope for that component of the game.
All right.
Diz?
I'd like to bring up a question.
All right.
I have yet to play The Division.
We will be talking about it. Stay tuned.
We all have yet to play Homefront. But it seems like kind of a similar idea. You know, you're just kind of fighting back this other group that has taken over America, the whole thing. And I noticed that there's 2 months release in between them. Was it Division's March and this is May?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's going to cause Homefront to be kind of lost in the mix, or do you think that's enough time for the whole excitement of the Division to die down and Homefront get a boost?
I think there is a difference between the style of game, not just from first person to third person, but they're kind of being this always living online atmosphere RPG element behind the Division that that Homefront will not have. However, like you said, from an eyeball test outside of just the perspective you play on, they seem pretty similar in concept. It's like a little dystopian. It's a little post-apocalyptic almost. Like life as you know it is over, and you're trying to regain it. And
it would be easy to conflate those two.
Yeah. And so I can easily see this game just getting lost in the mix regardless, just because this was announced like 2 years ago, right?
I mean, so was The Division.
Yeah, but the Division has done a much better job in maintaining the momentum of hype, and
That's
maybe that ball will get rolling when Homefront comes along. Yeah, and the Division's also not a sequel; it's a new IP, a little bit more hope attached to it, maybe because Homefront was good, but it was cult. It was like every game you like, cult good except Halo.
Breakthrough.
Am I a hipster?
Breakdown? Is it breakdown?
You're a little bit of a hipster, but you also love Halo.
Yeah.
Hipsters.
There
don't
we
love
go.
Halo.
Hipsters don't love
Was
Halo.
it breakdown?
Project Breakdown. Go
Breakdown.
back to your original Xbox and buy that game. It is fantastic.
So I don't know. I think it's going to get lost regardless. I don't know if the Division's the reason it's going to get lost though.
I think you're right to be concerned about that. Hopefully that's enough time, and they'll do a good enough job marketing that they're not just lost and people won't conflate the two. But I think if they wind up in any kind of head-to-head scenario, Division's going to have it just because of the name recognition.
Really quickly, I just want to ask this question. We're kind of lulling on time here, but what were your thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts about like this whole idea? We've seen really the demise of the world of demos and being able to just kind of download a vertical slice of a game to see if you like it. And what's replaced it has been these demos, these betas, these stress tests, these betas, quote unquote. It's like, this is a beta 4 weeks out from launch. This is not a beta. You know, we've seen it with The Division. We saw it with Destiny. You see it with any game really with an online-centric thing. You've seen it with Rainbow Six Siege. What are your thoughts on on this idea of the beta kind of replacing the demo?
I dislike it. I wish they would just call it what it is. It's a server stress test. And a huge percentage of the time, the servers are not up to the test.
Yeah.
Wasn't the idea of betas to get like user input?
Yeah.
And that's kind of irrelevant now.
Like I remember Halo Reach, like when that beta came out, that game was perfect in my opinion. But enough people complained about how powerful the grenades were that they nerfed the grenades. They made armor lock stronger. Like everything I hated about that game came from user feedback in the beta.
Yeah, if it's like 4 weeks from the release, it's not going to do much to change it, you know.
They're
Yeah.
not going to.
Yeah, you're really just getting an idea of like, can our servers handle this? And I mean, I guess you can make tweaks to like system things, like maybe, okay, this player will require more damage or whatever, you know, like, but big sweeping things that a lot of people come out of those expecting like, well, they need to change this whole area up or this AI thing up. And it's like, that's not how development works. Like you can't turn this around in 3 weeks, especially like with the Division where that thing's going to have to go gold here in a couple weeks.
So I hate the conflating of the terms, but I do like getting a chance to try a game for free, like before I buy it. And I wish more games had the confidence to let me do that.
Yeah. I wish I don't like the idea of it being tied to a pre-order though, because those are the numbers that you get to usher in front of your investors and say, "Look, we got X amount of pre-orders," not knowing like X amount canceled after they got access to the beta.
Let's be honest. Like my Division order will probably be canceled later this week.
Yeah,
And I'll probably still buy it, but just on principle.
yeah.
How dare you make me pre-order to play your beta?
What? I didn't think about that.
Or-
Or remember when they like gave you something extra in Destiny if you pre-ordered Call of Duty? I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And I pre-ordered, got my code, and then canceled all in the same
Yeah,
freaking store. Yeah.
You gotta. And it was just a shader.
Yeah.
What shader was it? It was a gold shader. It was like a
The
blacksmith.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. You're sticking it to the man.
Every day
It was
I
the
wake
most
up and think,
Activision move.
how can I stick it to the man today?
Jay Friend is smiling somewhere.
All right. Next item on the list. This is over on twinfinite.net. Star Wars Battlefront is getting a Death Star map and more iconic content. This is from Chris Jex, right? Which is today is his birthday. Happy birthday,
Happy
Chris
birthday.
Jex. We'll do that after the next jingle. It says, today EA detailed its plans for upcoming content coming to Star Wars Battlefront over the next year, with the most notable inclusion being a Death Star map. EA has also provided details of the patch coming to Star Wars Battlefront on all platforms going live tomorrow. The patch will bring the Tatooine survival map called Raider Camp, will support Blast Droid Run, Drop Zone, yada, yada, yada. Let's get down to the good stuff. Here we go. In the same post on the forums, EA revealed what content is coming in the expansions, which are included in the season pass, which costs $50 before knowing anything that came out. As well as rough release windows for each one. The details can be found below. In March of 2016, we're going to get a Star Wars Battlefront Outer Rim expansion. Fight among the factories of Sullust and battle within Jabba the Hutt's palace on Tatooine.
Sweet.
So there's some iconic things there. Then you get.
I wonder if you can fight a Rancor. That'd be cool.
Oh my gosh.
And have to get Boba Fett out of him. Spoiler alert.
That's a Sarlacc.
What's a Rancor?
The big Tyrannosaurus looking thing, except it has long
Oh,
arms.
is it the same Tyrannosaurus that was out there sweeping his driveway off? Hold on.
What?
Hold on. Just hold it right there.
Please hold.
I'll pull that up here in a moment. Let me continue on. We're getting Bespin in the summer. It's hunt or be hunted in this action-packed experience set in the cloud city of Bespin.
Lando's going to be one of the heroes, hopefully, you get to play as.
That was one of the interesting things. There's no heroes announced in this. A lot of people thought, well, we're going to get new heroes, right? No. There's some skins that were announced.
That's a perfect place for Lando.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
It may not be that they're not in it. It's just that they haven't been announced. And then fall of 2016, you'll get to play in the Death Star. That's no moon.
Oh!
One of the most iconic locations in the Star Wars universe, makes its debut in Star Wars Battlefront. And then the to be announced Pack 4 coming in early 2017. Mm-hmm. I'm a little underwhelmed. Is this $50 worth of content?
No. And for this game, like, they need to change it up. Like, the variety is what keeps this game playable, in my opinion. The gameplay itself is not. So, I mean, it's good that they're doing this, but having played the game, I'm like, I'm definitely not dropping $50 to get this kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Hey, you mind throwing this up on the?
I have it already.
Oh, okay. Here's this T-Rex out shoveling his driveway.
He's used to it because the Ice Age.
It's so awesome.
I'm not as amused as you are.
You don't love this as much as I. Is that what you're talking about though? Fighting?
Yes,
You want
that's
to fight
it.
I'm upset at you. All right, you can take that off. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to $50 of content. This is $50 worth of content. You say no. You seem shocked that we said no.
I mean, are you seeing this just as like 4 maps essentially? Is that what this is looking like?
I think it's 2 maps per on this, except the Death Star map. I mean, so let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Say that this is 2 maps per, maybe a hero per. They didn't announce a hero, but we'll say it's a hero per.
And is this the summation of the pass, or is there going to be more after this?
No, these are the four expansions you paid for.
But aren't you always getting like free updates like every month with extra stuff? Like, is that what they said in the very top?
Like, yeah, this is all in the free. Yeah, the patch is free, and you get all these different things, and like there are new game modes that are coming out for this thing, and et cetera, et cetera. But
To be an extension, you're paying for those as well.
Yeah.
But you get these even if you didn't get the expansion pack. So this is built into the $60 you paid for the game. But so what you're saying is essentially this is worth another Star Wars Battlefront purchase. Because $50 is only $10 short of 60. Whole nother game. Is this worth a whole nother game? And you're a huge Star Wars fan.
I am. I'm underwhelmed by the game in general, and so that's definitely coloring my perception of this. Like I cannot bring myself to spend that much money to get this content added into a game whose gameplay is just not sustaining me.
Yeah.
I love it. It's fun, but most of the time I'd rather play something else.
I don't think it's a good game. I told you this the other day because I was like, I think if this was a Battlefield game and it played the way that this plays, no one would want to play that. But you attach the Star Wars Battlefront thing onto it, and you have it taking place in the 70s and 80s movies that it was in, and you start to kind of create justification for why the mechanics of it aren't really all that good. Like, well, it's kind of raw because it's like the old movies. They were kind of raw. And I'm like, no, it's raw because it's not good. So, all right, next item on the list. This is the last item on the list. GameStop is helping to publish Insomniac's new game, Song of the Deep. I wrote an opinion piece over on Twinfinite. You can go check that out about whether or not this is a good move. I'm also going to express my opinion here.
Go for it.
You won't have to read it. This is over on IGN, who for some reason has linked their stop autoplay to signing into their account now. I don't want you to play the video. Please pause. Okay. This is over by Terry Schwartz on IGN. It says the release of Insomniac Games' new title, Song of the Deep, is going to be an experiment for the developer. Instead of being released through a traditional publisher, Insomniac has teamed with GameStop for what Ted Price, the company's founder, calls, quote, a non-traditional developer-publisher relationship. Song of the Deep is a passion project Insomniac has been working on for about a year. The underwater side-scrolling exploration game follows the adventure of Marin, a 12-year-old girl who builds herself a small submarine to search for her missing father, and along the way discovers a new world and lost civilization. While GameStop has no creative control over the new game, the company is handling Song of the Deep's promotion and marketing. When Song of the Deep releases in Q2 of this year, it will be available for digital download on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, but a physical disc will only be available for purchase in GameStop stores. Very interesting deal. Mm-hmm. Pure transparency here. We are fans of GameStop. We shop there on a regular basis, and we enjoy the people there.
Sometimes we just go hang out there.
That's
for
right.
A little while.
Yeah, we don't buy anything. I get out of my store.
Yeah, they seem okay with it though.
Yeah, they like us. We're cool people.
It's true.
We spend a lot of money there.
I gotta get my Mew today.
Huh?
At GameStop, they're distributing Mew today.
What is he?
The
Is that
Pokemon.
free?
Yep.
Oh,
First time in 10 years they're distributing it for Pokemon 20th anniversary.
Oh,
There you go.
those are words.
Can I beat you to the punch here real quick?
Yeah,
This
go
is the
for it.
question. Now they did release a physical version of Minecraft, didn't they?
I don't think it was exclusive to GameStop.
But did they see an increase in sales versus its digital sales?
Not
Because
sure.
I feel like this was going to be solely download for a lot of people.
Well, you've got to consider too with ISPs moving in a lot more aggressively with data caps. Like I have family members that are not allowed to download games anymore.
That's absurd.
So Comcast,
Big
great job.
problems.
You are single-handedly holding back an entire market, dying a fire.
Um,
Not all your employees, just your company and your dreams.
What, Comcast or Dynafire?
Down in fire. He told somebody in the chat to down in fire too.
No, I didn't.
You did through me.
What? What?
You can't speak for me.
was it to the guy who said that he needs to buy a PS4? Oh, it was to Empty Vials.
No,
We do want Empty Vials to
I
Dynafire.
don't want. I like empty vials.
Those are micro pins.
Oh,
I'm having.
that's not what that name is, but yeah. Back to your point. They're also getting a percentage of the digital sales though on this too. So they're like it's not just about physical stuff. Minecraft is an interesting thing because so many young kids are into it, seeing it on a shelf and saying, "Buy that for me," is the strategy there.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what the ratio of physical to digital sales is for this game. But my question to you guys is with this being like this is kind of a bold move. This is totally out of the realm of what GameStop normally does. Is publishing GameStop is in trouble, and just because you go into GameStop. Just because you go into GameStop 2 times a month and buy something maybe every other time you step in, or just because you got a gift card for Christmas from them, or just because your particular store is doing well does not mean the entire company is doing well. And they may be able to do well now, but in the short term, that's fine. In the long term, it is imminent that GameStop is going to have to change their practices because digital is becoming more and more of a prevalent thing. Like, the day is coming. It may not be this year or next year, but a day is coming where physical merchandise is going to be the exception to the rule and not the rule.
Saying that GameStop doesn't need to change course is like Blockbuster thinking they didn't need to change course when Redbox became a thing.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
now some of you listening don't even know what a Blockbuster is.
oh gosh, that's
They're
sad.
spooky and they're haunted.
And some of them are mattress stores now.
They are a great shape for a mattress store.
Yeah. So there is trouble coming for GameStop, even if they're not experiencing it right now. I mean, and think about how many games came out last year. What percentage of those even got a physical release? And now you have games like The Witness that came out and very popular on PlayStation 4, only digital. And they have a $40 price point. So if you can get that price point from a digital only game, like this is the trend we're gonna see. So is this kind of a route? Not that they have anything else planned. They're seeing how this goes. Is publishing the route that can save GameStop?
Like you said, it's a bold and different direction. Like I would have never guessed at it, but I think they definitely need to think outside the box like that. So I don't think it's a bad move by any means. Do it and see how it goes.
I think it's a pretty smart move because when you think about it, if you are really saying that there's going to be a day where GameStop either dies or changes, their saving grace is going to be in exclusivity and special edition physical items.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not thinking now that, hey, this is a plan for the future, it should cross their mind because the sooner they get into this game, the better it's going to be in the future. I don't want to see the day to where GameStop has to die because I have yet to jump on the digital, but I'm just one of millions of people that, I'm just a little peon in this sea, and where most people are going digital, I'm just being, stubborn about it. So I think it's a smart move. The bigger that they can get in this, the bigger titles that they could be able to get, depending on whatever the company is and the exclusivity. Yeah, they're gonna be made.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Something else, like I think another area they're gonna suffer some losses in the area of pre-orders. Like I feel like GameStop's been where you pre-order if you're gonna pre-order.
Yeah.
But like now with Amazon, like I pre-ordered the Division for the code, and the cost of that since I pre-ordered through Amazon with Amazon Prime is $50. So cheaper than I'm gonna get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I've got this hard wrestling of, do I want it cheaper? Do I want to support GameStop?
Yeah. Well, and the day is going to come where publishers will be able to realize, like, it doesn't take a digital game being much cheaper for a lot of people to make that jump. You list the game at $49.99 rather than $59.99. I'm going to buy the digital copy of it, saving $10. I buy enough games a year that's significant. Not that that's insignificant for companies to take the cut, but they're also not paying any of the logistics fees for shelf space, for warehouse space, for shipping, for anything like that. And more people are getting comfortable, like you said, ordering online. And GameStop has to find these new ways of doing things and selling things you can't download, like pop figures, like special edition Monopoly, like T-shirts, like all the physical stuff that you started seeing sold. Go look at a picture of a GameStop from 2 years ago and show me where their merchandise section is, and I bet it's 2 or 3 shelves. Now you walk in and it's a third of the store, and that's intentional for 2 reasons. Number one, because you need to be able to sell these physical things to last, because it's not going to be forever. And number two, there's all of this extra shelf space because smaller games aren't having to release on a disc. They were just releasing the digital storefronts, and they're not taking up space in your stores. So fill it up with things that we can sell. And the collectibles market has been lucrative for them. But when the day comes where there are less and less physical games to go around, they're going to need to find ways to make more money. And making it on the digital front from publishing, just from partnerships like this, is a long way. And then also seeing that physical copies of games is going to be more of a collector venture rather than kind of the mainstay. People who like having things on their shelves and building up a collection of games. Like you don't trade stuff in. So you've got like all these consoles, you've got all these games, and it's kind of a collection that you've built. And GameStop will kind of become the niche go-to. And what we're going to see is like, and it's all it takes is one publisher. All it takes is EA coming in and saying, hey, next Battlefield, digital only, we're running a limited run of 100,000 physical copies. We're distributing X amount to GameStops. Pick them up there if you want them, but if not, you just got to buy a digital. And everyone else is going to be like, we're in too. That's what we're going to do too. So publishing, this is a great move from them on both fronts. So both fronts of being able to publish, but also saying, hey, let's set up these great partnerships where the only place you can buy a physical disc if you want it on your shelf is here.
Yeah.
GameStop's also the cheapest place I've found Pokemon cards.
Especially when they're mislabeled.
$4 a pack. I got a blister pack for $5 a piece. It's like $2 a pack. It's awesome.
All right. That was the news, guys. We did it.
News with podcast, guys.
Happy birthday,
Chris Jackson.
Chris.
All right. Moving on. We got reviews. Reviews for you.
Oh, that's you.
Larry.
Wait.
Talk to me.
What? No, you talk to me.
I get to join the random question harmony?
Yeah, dude.
But wait, are you going to join it?
I'm not good at singing.
I'm not either, but...
No, you talk to me about the Division beta. We've been playing it.
I love it. Mostly.
All right.
Had mixed experience with it.
Yeah. So the Division, it takes place in New York. There's been a biochemical attack that's rendered the city pretty much taken over and ravaged by looters and the likes. You are an agent in the Division sent in to restore order. And you... In the beta, there's only one mission. Two missions. You go, you restore your base of operations, then you go save a doctor in Madison Square Garden, which is awesome. We have yet to try to go back in there. I wonder if it's explorable after you finish that mission. I'm
Good
sure
question.
it is.
Let's find
You can
out.
redo the mission.
Oh, I don't want to redo the mission. I just want to
Can
go
you just
explore.
go in?
I don't know if you can just go in or not. You can redo the mission, though.
Oh,
Okay.
word. So, and then there's other encounters that you have, some echo things that you can go and investigate, and then the dark zones, which we'll talk probably at length about. So, let's just talk broadly first in terms of like gameplay mechanics, the way that it looks, the setup of it. Jumping into the game after half an hour of just feel of it, what were some of your original thoughts?
The little taste you get of the mission of the campaign, that was fun. I like the cover-based gunplay. Like, I know there are other games like that. I've never played one before though, so I enjoyed like if you don't take cover, you just die. It's way more realistic. I tried to Master Chief it, just run through shooting stuff. It doesn't work. When I first opened the inventory and all that, like, it was a little overwhelming. This game is RPG through and through, and there is all kinds of stuff to consider.
Cool.
Weapons, weapon modifications, all the stuff you wear, the armor rating of each of those things, and how it affects your health and your tech use, and all kinds of stuff to think about. But I like that because it adds a lot more depth and a lot more differentiation between how people play the game, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a tactical element, and the game kind of it's not even a forced thing. Like, you're gonna die if you don't do it, but it just feels way cooler to do it like that too, using the cover-based system and doing all that sort of stuff. And the cover-based system is awesome, where you press A to go into cover, and then you can aim at other things that you would go into cover and hold down A, and it'll go to it for you automatically while you kind of scan the area for more enemies. It's simple yet really, really effective at keeping you engaged in the fight without having to worry about, like, oh crap, I missed it by a foot getting behind this piece of cover.
And it's so dependent on teamwork. Like, if your team can learn how to adequately flank people, like, that's it, you're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The team that just tries to stay behind cover just gets wrecked behind cover.
Didn't you guys get pretty flanked on stairs one time?
Oh, first. So I'll describe to you what the Dark Zone is really quick. So there's these cities where kind of the virus got to fester worse, and it was where they tried to set up quarantine zones, and but once the virus overran it, they abandoned these zones. There's all this loot that's in there that's better for you, that's better than the loot you can get just in the base game, but you can work together to get the loot. There's NPCs in there you kill that will drop stuff, and when you're ready to extract it, you call in a helicopter in an extraction zone. But every other agent in the area gets alerted that you have launched the signal off and that a helicopter is coming in. And there's two options. You can either take advantage of that extraction and just use it, being friendly about it and not shooting, or you can engage and try to steal other people's loot, but then you get marked as rogue, and you have this icon that's put over your head, and you can be seen on the map, and people can come and hunt you down. So it's kind of a game of cat and mouse. It's a real game of tension, but there's these areas within the dark zones that are even more contaminated that you can go into. In the dark zone that we get, you get in the beta, it's in the subway, which makes sense. It's kind of confined.
And they're you're just walking over piles and piles of dead bodies.
Yeah, it's horrifying. But the first night we were down there, Larry and I fought a solid 5-minute battle with a couple dudes, one of which had a flamethrower, and we got the loot from them. And then we went to run out, engaged with some guys on the steps, went to go turn around and run away, and we got cut off on the other flight of steps. And it was just where the guys knew the map and knew where to cut us off. And it takes some forethought to do it and to do it well. And it's really tense, and really every time you come across somebody, you're like, okay, are they sketchy? Are they... especially when you call in an extraction, when you're waiting, because it takes 90 seconds for the helicopter to get there. You're looking at everybody who comes into the zone, and you're thinking, like, oh gosh, are they going to take me out?
And you're trying to set up in such a way that, all right, if he shoots you, I'm going to shoot him. And if his buddy shoots you because you shoot him, if he shoots our friend, then I'm going to shoot him for shooting you.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's just one big Mexican standoff. What?
I'm just kidding.
That's what it's called.
Whenever they would show like those pre-scripted kind of choreographed things, I'm like, nobody is going to talk when they play like this. But we were, and the game kind of makes you do it, and maybe it's a little bit of just suggestion from all the gameplay we've seen from it. But last night when we were playing, we would be like, hey, does somebody have eyes on that guy? Okay, he's on my 6. Get eyes on him. And
all right, we got 3 rolling up the stairs. None of them are carrying loot. Why are they here?
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Like, it's nefarious reasons.
If they're hanging out in the extraction zone with nothing to extract, they're not there for anything good.
Mm-hmm.
Zephyr wants to know, with the loot system, how's it set up?
For the most part, you find it off of people that you kill. Every now and then you'll come across a starving civilian. You can give them food or whatever they need, and they'll give you something. I got a sweet trapper hat from that.
He looks straight from West Virginia.
Yeah, I got a trapper hat and a double barrel shotgun with a hunting rifle slung over my back.
Okay, I need this.
The best loot is in the dark zone, and you get it from fallen NPCs, or by being a rogue agent and murdering people, or by killing rogue agents who have murdered people.
Right. My favorite thing about the loot system and just the way that equipment works in general. Well, a couple things. Number one, the gun building mechanic. It's not quite as deep as Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2, but it's that same idea of like you can take parts of your gun off and replace them with other parts, and you kind of get to visualize your weapon as you're building it, adding extended magazines or scopes to it or stocks to it or whatever. So that's really cool. To me. And then also your appearance and your armor are two separate things, and I really like that a lot. Whereas like in a game like Destiny, you're kind of limited to what helmet you wear because it's the best helmet. I'm gonna wear that one.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Division, it's your backpack, your knee pads, and your gloves that build your armor up. They don't make a whole lot of logical sense, but it also leaves you free to wear the clothes and customize your character the way that you want to customize.
Nice.
Nice. So those are the two biggest parts about the loot system that I like.
You can't take your pants off.
You cannot take your pants off. It's
You
cold.
attempted.
You can
cold as
change
Christmas.
pants, but they won't let you just have no pants, in case you're wondering.
Anything else about the loot system? I think that pretty much covers it. As far as vendors and stuff, I mean, it's all pretty standard. They were mostly selling stuff that was beyond what we could use and more expensive than we can afford, but we won't know till the full game comes out if it's a lot like Destiny's Gunsmith, where it just became obsolete after, after a few days of playing.
The Dark Zone is hands down the most tension that I've ever experienced in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Just that fact of like there are player characters running around all over the place, and you never know, like someone could snap at any time. Luke and I ran with this guy for a minute or two the first night we played, and like he eyeballed us for a minute, and we just happened to be going the same direction. We run with him. He runs around the corner and sees something he wants to just murder somebody. Like we're walking beside a dude who's just willing to kill the whole time, didn't realize it. And I will use this to launch into my one complaint with the game. So when you see a rogue agent, they're highlighted in red to kind of help you distinguish them. Well, the game also highlights in red people that you accidentally shoot if you're not rogue yet, which is confusing because then sometimes you get mixed up and think they're rogue, so you take them down. Mm-hmm. But also, if somebody falls on the ground and needs help, like there's a down system, you got to help them back up, they flash red. Oh. So you may think that that's a rogue agent that's been down and you need to finish them off. Oh. And so we followed this guy. He runs around the corner, kills this dude, puts the dude down. I come around the corner with my double barrel shotgun and I just take him out. And then I run up to the barricade he was looking over, and I see this guy flashing red on the ground, so I go and take him out too. You've been marked rogue. What? Oh, crap. He was not a rogue agent, but I still stole his stuff. We escaped, and I got it.
And it almost seems like an arbitrary amount of damage that causes you and your whole entire... Because that's the thing. If you go rogue, your entire squad goes rogue, gets marked as rogue. But there's times where you may... Like a stray bullet or two may hit a guy and you go rogue, and then there's other times where you can, like... throw an explosive at him and you don't go rogue. It seemed very, it was hard to predict what it took.
How do you clean up your record?
You have to stay alive for X amount of time.
Okay.
So like a couple straight bullets, you may get 10, 15 seconds. If you straight kill somebody, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then every time you kill, that counter goes up.
Okay.
And the higher the counter goes, the more experience and money you get if you survive and become not rogue again.
Cool.
And
it's very tempting.
The more money and experience you get if you get killed, and the more you lose if you get killed.
Okay.
So
there's no limit. I found out last night you can lose enough experience to go down in level.
Yeah.
So you could just do it again and again and suck at it and be level 1 again.
And there's two separate levels. There's the level for the main game, and then there's a Dark Zone level, and that has to do with you can't equip certain items, right? I think that's all that really is.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it matters in the Dark Zone, actually, because none of the items were attached to Dark Zone level. I wondered if it was if it affected your skill at all, or if it was just like, hey, this guy's this good at this game. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I do have some issues with the game. We had a real hard time with the servers Friday night.
Yeah.
Probably to be expected, but we played pretty smooth for the most part last night. Game froze on me once and you once, or Ben once?
I was
freeze
good.
on you once?
It froze on me a couple times. It kicked me out like 3 or 4 times the night
Yeah,
night before
Friday.
last, but last night it was
No,
good.
it froze on me twice. That's what happened.
It was smooth for
wasn't
me
two
all
separate
night
people.
last night.
Yeah, it froze on me twice. Ben said something that I said playing Destiny's beta that worried me when he said it in the division. He said, I hope there's a little more going on because as fun as the dark zones can be, they can also be very boring. If everybody in the dark zone just decides like, well, we're all just going to be nice to each other, find our own loot, and then extract everything all together, like it's very, very boring.
We were dead set on being the sheriffs of the dark zone. We're never going rogue. We're going to take the bad guys down. But last night we ran around probably for an hour, barely getting any kind of anything going on.
Yeah,
We went rogue several times.
And finally we were
bored.
like, all right, well, this is boring. All right, there are a bunch of guys piled on the helicopter pad waiting for the extraction. There are like 8 guys.
and it was a blast.
Let's all throw a grenade at the same time.
It was so fun. The 3 of us taking on, we downed several of them.
Yeah, we killed a few. They got us 'cause
Oh, yeah.
we were way outnumbered, but
Yeah.
we took a lot of them out.
Yeah, there's nothing really that forces the action. If you just want to go in and explore and everybody work together and bring it, like calling extractions, that it doesn't. And I don't know how you add an element to really force a fight in it.
More NPCs.
More NPCs would be good.
Yeah,
Cause that during that one period, like there are times where they just keep coming, but then there are those dry times. Like we ran around and like there was nothing to fight.
yeah. But in terms of issues, I think that's probably about it.
One more.
Okay.
In-game voice was kind of
the proximity chat.
like that's super important for the dark zone. Like one guy accidentally went rogue on us and was like, "Whoa, I didn't mean to," and it saved his life. Cause we were like, "All right, take him out."
Yeah,
But when it doesn't work,
we should have done it anyway.
yeah. When it doesn't work, it's frustrating. We had to do party chat because like we were losing the ability to even hear each other in the same squad at points.
Yeah, and you have to be really close to a guy that's not in your squad in order to hear him.
Really
They need to
close.
maybe expand that range out a little bit to where you can hear it. But then again, I don't want to hear everybody's music.
And one last thing that I would like to see changed before the game comes out, but it probably won't be. If someone on your friends list is in the dark zone, you can see them on the map,
Without them being in your squad, yeah.
which means that if somebody happens to be on my friends list, and the way Xbox's friends work, like people can add you to their friends whether you add them to their friends or not. Am I understanding that right? Like it tells me
Yeah.
people have made me their friend, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know who this is. Like,
So you
can
just go in
can
and-
that guy just hunt me down now in the dark zone? Because that's bad. That's a bad system.
Yeah. Zephyr says it seems this game in this game you're going to need friends. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much like Destiny in that you're going to want to play with people.
I would say even more so than Destiny. Like you can kind of lone wolf things in Destiny, but once you get into the dark zone, especially if you don't have friends, you're just going to get devoured.
Yeah. All right. So that was our review. So moving on to everybody's favorite segment, the random question of the week.
Random question of the week for the month for this week.
I did.
You did? Good.
All right, there was a Polygon Asks forum that just asked this simple question I want to propose to you guys.
Proposing?
Yeah, and let's do this kind of quickly.
Gotcha.
Is VR the future of gaming?
No.
No.
It's a fever dream of the 1980s.
Oh, man. All right, expound a little. Just a smidge. It doesn't need to be that quick. So you guys both don't think it's the future of gaming?
No. Go ahead.
We're stuck with this idea. We're stuck with this idea that, this whole virtual reality thing is what's cool, it's what's the best, it's what's the future. And we're seeing so much more out of AR. Like we're seeing this, it's changing what we're already seeing versus making this whole new, possibly crappy world. And I just think it's it's a technology that they just need to let go and move forward.
No, for two reasons. One, I just like. I don't think it appeals to enough people on enough of a level like that. This would replace the way they game right now, and it would further isolate. I know you guys don't have issues with it, but there are a lot of people who have an issue with a significant amount of people that have an issue with the lack of community within games and the lack of actual interaction. And if I'm putting a headset on, like, all right, there is absolutely no way I'm interacting with anybody else around me, actually. Maybe some online play, but I haven't really seen any online titles pushed for it.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So this is something you're going to do by yourself. And for me, that has zero appeal. And then the second reason is I don't anticipate any kind of follow-through. I think PlayStation especially is going to capitalize on the faddishness of this and until they've gotten their little boost of money, and then they're going to act like it doesn't exist and stop supporting it and stop making games. I'd love to be proven wrong on that point, but I don't anticipate being proven wrong.
I think it is a future of gaming. I don't think it's the future. We're going to still play games on TV. So like this isn't going to replace the way that we game. But I do think that there is enough of an interest in it that this is going to be something that will last a while if people can kind of get on board with it here at the start. I don't anticipate it being a main way that I game. I'd love to try it. I'd love to own a PlayStation VR and play some of the stuff. There are some online games. There's one like kind of not a Rocket League clone, but I'm trying to remember what it's called. I'll think of it in a bit, but it's like Rocket League. It's an arena, but it's also a shooter, and you're trying to score a ball and a goal. Like there's some of that stuff that goes on, but yeah. So I think it's a future of gaming, but I don't think it's the future in gaming. All right.
Something you said. I was about to say something, and I've forgotten my own words. Do you remember what I was going to say, Diz?
I'm sorry, I don't. That's my mistake.
You should have been paying more attention to this.
The price point. Like having that initial group, like it's just so expensive. There's no way I'm trying this out of the gates.
Yeah,
I can't afford to.
Well, and all I would say to that is then it's just not for you. Like all new tech is expensive.
Yeah, but I think it's expensive enough that it's going to be a barrier to them getting enough people.
I don't know.
Because it's more than the cost of a console.
Well, we don't know about PlayStation VR yet. Oculus Rift announced that. Is it $700? I think it's $700 or $600.
Was that the one including the PC that you would need?
Yeah, but that's even more than that. It's like $1,200 with the PC that you.
So
need.
If you already have a top of the line PC, you got to drop $700 more bucks.
But the pre-order sold out in 30 seconds. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. It was 30 seconds that it sold out. People.
How many?
It was a significant amount. I can't tell you the exact number. But people that are really interested in this are going to buy it, and they understand that it's an expensive technology. It's a brand new technology. Like, it's the same price you would pay for a new computer or a new phone or whatever. You know, and you may subsidize your phone over your account or whatever, but if you wanted to buy that phone outright, it would be $700. Mm-hmm. And so the price point doesn't worry me. The marketing is what worries me. And if it can be marketed to the point where people are interested in it. But I think Oculus has done a good job of it already, getting people excited. So, all right, stick around. We're going to wrap up the audio portion of this podcast, and we're going to move to our after party lounge, which is where we get to interact with you. So if you asked a question that we didn't really get to, Ben will ask that to us in the after party lounge. And the way that random question of the week is going to work from now on, that was my topic. Next week it'll be your topic, Diz, and then we'll just go around the table like that. So stick around for the After Party Lounge if you're over here on twitch.tv/Player3Podcast. If not, let's just go around the circle. Let's start with Larry over there.
I'm Larry. My Twitter is LairHuntsZombies, LARHUNTS Zombies. And not this week, but next week I'm going to get back into streaming Lair Hunts Evil, where I take on various horror games, and you get to watch how bad I am at it.
Very nice.
I don't do much on social media or stuff online, but I do have an Xbox name. Granny Hand Grenade. GRANYHANGRENADE. That's pretty much it.
All right. Awesome. I'm Luke Croft. You can follow me on Twitter at TK from Antioch. Add me on Xbox at Download Hoagie and PlayStation at Lodger Blackman.
Was it supposed to be larger? Was it supposed to be larger?
Yeah, it's a joke from Psych.
Gotcha.
So that was episode 59 of the Player 3 Podcast.
59.
Well done. That's it.
Dang.
Follow us on twitter.com/player3podcast, youtube.com/player3podcast, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher. Leave us reviews. We're sticking around in the chat, but that's it for the audio. We are the Player 3 Podcast.
Player 3 Podcast!
B3P. All right. What's up, guys? Welcome to the after party lounge.
Hello and welcome to the after party.
Do Seth's thing, man. He's not here anymore.
I'm doing his fake one where I talk over top of him.
Justice.
This is what I do when I talk over top of him. Then
Hello.
butt bucks are still a currency.
they
however,
are not.
Seth is not
They're
here.
not.
All right.
Golly. Ben's been over there like, stay away from the mic, and he's like eating it. Come on, dude. Turn me down then.
I am me though, and you are you. And we
All right.
are together.
Let me start off the after party lounge. Thank you so much for the follow. So close to Abby, Unsocom4, and Delicious. It's like delicious with a Z.
It's like
Now-
busy too.
Now I've got to know if so close to Abby is Abby, and that's a joke, or if this is like some dude that's obsessed with Abby.
I am so close to Abby.
I'm in the hedges.
All right, so here's how the after party lounge is going to work now. Whenever you ask a question that isn't related to something that we're already talking about on the podcast, Ben's going to drop it in the notes, and then he's going to ask those questions to us. And if you, at any time during the after party you have a question, we'll stick around for 15, 20 minutes, hang out with you guys. Ben,
Yes,
how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. This has been a good day.
Your beard is thickening.
It is
Your
thickening.
beard is nice.
It's long. I need to
Good.
re-clean it.
She says that her name is Abby,
Okay.
or he or she, I don't know.
So close to Abby.
Abby's generally a girl's name, but we don't come in with any assumptions.
No preconceived notions of gender or race.
Abraham.
It may be Abraham.
Or species.
Can I say my
Jesus.
overtly racist joke on the after party?
No!
No.
Why would you think that's okay?
They said on The Office. It's not. It was
No.
on the show already.
Read us the first question.
All right, the first
And who's it
question
come
is from Zephyr Baby.
Oh, Zephyr.
I love Zephyr,
Hey,
baby.
Zephyr, how do you like the new time? First of all, that's the first question we have for you. 1 o'clock. What time is it over in England now? In euros.
I think it's 15 pounds.
Oh, great.
That's
Yeah.
absurd. It is 900 meters.
It was in regards to our VR discussion for the random question of the week. He asked, "Have we not already been through this?"
I love that you feel the need to dignify that by reading it out loud.
Next question.
Thank you,
All
Zephyr,
right, next
for
question
the
is from
question.
Micropins, one of my favorite favorite subs. He asked, "What do you guys think about the Fine Bros controversy?"
Oh, God.
And if you don't know about what
That's
this
ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
is, you guys all know what it is.
Trying
Never mind
to
then.
trademark a
It's cool.
word or an idea of reacting to something?
What?
Explain what
Okay.
the Fine Bros
All
controversy
right.
is.
So they are trying to trademark. They're trying to trademark. They do reacts videos of the Fine Bros React. That's not what it's called. What is it called?
Elders react?
It's elders react, kids react, all that.
react.
Yeah, they're trying to do that. Here's the thing about it, and I think people are blowing this up out of proportion. They are trying to develop an IP around the word react to where people can't mimic the style and the setup of their videos. They're not trying to sue anybody who uses the word react, but if we were to make a P3P reacts video, that would be stepping on their IP. And I think that's totally fine. Just like if Riggs, that's the name of the VR game that's a competitive sports game.
I remember seeing that.
But anyway, well, let's take Riggs for example. They've trademarked that name Riggs, meaning we cannot come in and make a game called Riggs and it'd be legal for us. So them trademarking reacts, but we can make a game called something Riggs and it'd be totally different from Riggs maybe. But we can't step in and make a P3P reacts video because it's a trademarked IP. And I don't have a problem with that at all.
But they're saying that reacting to something is their intellectual property.
That
Yeah,
in the
that's
way
where
that they do it.
Of having someone sitting there and reacting to something?
Because people were doing that way before they showed up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, people do a lot of things before somebody else comes in and patents
And
the
wants
idea.
money for it.
And I always think it's dumb when they do.
It's just
Have you
way
seen the
I-
old people
I don't
react
have a
We're
now?
problem
split.
with
We're
it.
split.
Especially
Yeah,
like
well,
the
that's
old,
fine.
the
I
old
don't
people
have a
react to
problem.
Anaconda. Have you seen that video?
What?
Old people react to Anaconda.
No.
Like the movie with
really-
Jennifer Lopez?
No, the song.
J-Lo
behind
is an
Nicki
Anaconda?
Minaj.
Huh.
I think my favorite one is where they play Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that one's good.
She's like,
They
"Is
do
that
a
my
Clash
wife?"
of Clans ones. They
That's
actually
my
have a
wife.
Clash of Clans ones too.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have
one's
took
awesome.
Yeah, who
months.
cares about that? Moving on.
As long as it's
awesome.
used responsibly, like
I don't think they're doing it to go attack anybody who reacts to anything.
that's like whether they could or not. Like that, those kind of things. Just there's so many trolls out there that just want to cause issues and make money. That's what I hate. I wish things were spelled out more clearly of how you could go about protecting your intellectual property.
Viagra Po Boy says the problem with that argument about them establishing an IP is that they've already issued DMCA takedown notices within YouTube for their reaction videos and have made no effort to clarify what their format is. And that is a problem. They need to establish what it is that a reacts video is before going to just take down stuff willy-nilly.
Can we make a reaction video to their cease and desist letters?
What if we make a reaction video to their reaction videos?
And that's what I'm saying.
Inception.
If they're just saying you can't call it such and such reacts to this, that's one thing. But to say anyone making a video reacting to things,
PewDiePie's out.
No, they're taking down videos that are called such and such reacts, I think is what they're doing. They're not
I
just
guess
taking
so, yeah.
down.
There goes the chemical reaction videos. I love watching those.
hydrogen reacts to.
Hydrogen reacts to oxygen.
See, this is a little different from like PlayStation had a thing. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was very short lived, where they were going to try to trademark Let's Play,
Oh,
and it would have been a terrible idea. It would have been an awful idea because Sony is not, PlayStation is not the one known for Let's Plays. There's other YouTube channels, but the Fine Bros are known for reacts videos. And so it would make sense for them to try to trademark it. Now they need to clarify what it is that they're taking these things down for. But I have no problem with them trying to protect their IP. So, all right. Give us the next one.
I'm sorry. I saw another. This is the last one we have, actually.
That's fine.
I don't really understand it exactly, so maybe you guys
Wonderful.
can clarify. Unsocom4 asks, folks, I like that. That's nice southern greeting. Why do developers never step back into previous roles? Example, Christian Allen, who worked on Ghost Recon and Halo Reach, etc.
So is he asking about why guys don't ever revisit things that they previously...
I would assume the same things that they have worked on before, like why they don't revisit the same companies that they worked with originally.
Because when you move on in life, you move on in life. Like that's my biggest thing, is just because you did something and you did it well, you can oftentimes feel like, well, I did what I needed to do. I just left my job at a church because I'm like, I've done what I can do there. And it's not that I didn't enjoy my time or think that it was good. It was just like you reach a time in your life where, okay, I'm moving on from that. I don't need to necessarily go back to it.
And people who create things don't want to just create the same thing again and again. And when you love a series, you typically want basically the same game again and again. So, yeah, I get just stepping away from it. It's the same thing we yell at bands for. Oh, you sold out. No, they just changed as a musician.
We stepped back and got the new Tony Hawk game, and that was a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't need to step back.
MT Valls kind of clarifies the question a little bit, maybe in a different light. So he said, why don't they occupy their old roles in their company, i.e., going from CEO to nothing instead of going back to lead design, like a lead design role?
Oh, I'll use another church analogy. When someone, especially the more upfront and higher up the chain you are, the worse of an idea that is, because I've seen churches where the senior minister will step down, but continue to attend the church and be a part of the church, and whoever comes in as the new leader, like there's this unavoidable struggle of, well, whose voice really matters? The guy who we looked up to before, and there's just constantly this power struggle. I imagine that would be the same in a company, but I never ran a company, so I don't know.
And there's a reason you leave the role that you were in the first place, and just going back to that role may just not be what you want to do. And there's a pay cut involved.
Yeah.
The CEO makes a little bit more money than the lead designer on a game. So, someone wanted to know if we tried VR. None of us have had the opportunity to try VR. I really want to try VR though. So,
Yeah.
Which are you more excited about, VR or AR? Just quick answer.
AR.
probably AR. Yeah, I think there's more.
Utility.
Yeah, and it doesn't take you out of the world. I'm kind of terrified to put a VR headset on.
Yeah, like how many times are we playing a game and I go investigate a noise? outside or at night.
Well, but then you got to think how many times has it been nothing?
100%.
Exactly.
And how many times are
So
you gonna
stop
get?
wasting some time.
How many times are you gonna get neck chopped without even see it coming?
Well, I'm playing like this the whole time. So.
That made me think of Danny DeVito hanging himself, and It's Always Sunny.
My next two thing.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of our new format, of the new cast that we've got here, of the new setup. Anything that you want to know. We're glad to be back. We're so glad to be back.
I'll try to be less sick next time.
Leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read that. We haven't had one of those in months.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here, guys, and go hang out.
Fine.
One of the main reasons we changed the time so we could have time to hang
Be
out.
sultry and sweet and loving and.
We still will leave you by giving you Seth's telephone number.
His cell phone number
Seth's
is
telephone
actually
number.
because he's not here to defend
Yeah, well,
himself,
that's true. He's not here to defend himself.
276.
I'm just kidding.
732.
Cut the stream.
Cut the stream.
68.
Cut the stream.